All right, welcome to another deep dive. And this time, we're jumping headfirst into Sarah J. Maas's House of Sky and Breath.
Ooh, this one is a wild ride.
Seriously, we've got excerpts from the book itself, and let me tell you, it's a lot to unpack.
Definitely.
I mean, we're talking rebels, a mysterious prophecy, a hidden city.
And don't forget the powers.
Oh yeah, the powers. Characters with abilities that'll blow your mind. Imagine raising the dead or just teleporting wherever you want.
It's a world that just grabs you from the start with glimpses of ancient powers, political scheming. It's all there.
Yeah, and it's all tangled up with these really personal struggles that the characters are going through, so you wanted to get a handle on the power dynamics in this world.
Absolutely.
And there's this young boy, Emil, who seems to be right at the center of it all.
He is. Right from the start, we see Emil in danger. On the run.
Like a fugitive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Powerful forces are after him, and they believe he has these incredible abilities.
Abilities he might not even know he has yet.
Right. And those powerful forces we mentioned, that's the Astri.
And from the excerpts, they sound like they have their hands in everything.
Pretty much.
They even have the system called the Drop.
Yeah, where people are forced to give up this life force energy first light.
First light.
Right. Seems to be like the essence of a person's vitality. And the Astri have found a way to take it.
Through the Drop.
Through the drop.
Yeah.
It's their way of controlling the population. Keep them weak, keep them dependent.
It's like those dystopian novels where the government controls everything, even your energy.
Exactly. And Maz really digs into those themes, those ideas of control and exploitation. Makes you think, you know.
Makes you think about power structures in our own world, for sure. Okay, so if the Astrai are the oppressors, who are the good guys? Who are the rebels fighting back?
That would be Ophian.
Ophian.
They're risking it all to disrupt the Astri, protecting the people the Astri are exploiting. They're the hope in this story.
So Emil, how does he fit into all this?
Well, the excerpts mentioned his sister, Sophie.
Okay, yeah.
Turns out she was a rebel spy, working with this mysterious agent Daybright to try and uncover the truth about the Astri.
Sounds dangerous.
It was. It sounds like Sophie was actually close to uncovering something huge before she died.
Oh, wow.
It just adds this whole other layer of mystery, you know?
Totally. And before Sophie died, she hid Emil.
Yeah. She left clues pointing to Lunathion.
Lunathion, the hidden city, the one ruled by the Fae.
That's the one. Seems like it might offer some refuge from the Astri. But the clue itself is interesting.
A place where weary souls find relief.
Exactly. Almost like there's something more to Lunathion. Something maybe even magical.
Okay, and this is where things get even more interesting. We see this unexpected alliance forming between Bryce Quinlan,
The half-fae, half-human.
right, with her starlight powers, and Celestina, the Astri's new archangel. Talk about enemies working together.
It's a strange pairing for sure. But there's a twist. It seems Celestina is actually working against the Astri.
Whoa, a double agent.
Motivated by revenge for her sister's death, it makes you wonder how far she'll go, you know? And if she can even be trusted.
So Bryce wants to help Emil.
She does. But Hunt, her romantic partner, the exiled angel, he's a lot more cautious.
Understandably. I mean, they're dealing with powerful forces here.
Right. Bryce is known for being impulsive, so it kind of highlights this need for careful planning when you're dealing with these powerful beings. Good intentions can backfire, even with the best of intentions.
All right, shifting gears a bit. Let's talk about this bone quarter.
Ah, yes.
Remember the bits about a prophecy and the power to raise the dead?
I do.
Well, the bone quarter seems to be where it all comes together. This realm of the dead ruled by the Underking.
It's a whole other dimension to the world building. Not just about the living and their struggles, but also about what happens after death.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what happens to First Light after death.
Right.
So,
Is that what Second Light is?
maybe.
Yeah.
We get some answers in these excerpts. Bryce and Hunt have this crazy encounter with the Underking, and they discover the Astries aren't just feeding on the first light of the living.
Oh, no.
They're tapping into the second light of the dead, too.
So they're draining the world of this life force energy from both sides.
Wow. It's a pretty bleak picture.
Yeah.
But it also makes the Astri even more terrifying. Right?
They're not just oppressive. It's like you're stealing the very essence of life itself.
Exactly.
And then just when you think it can't get any crazier.
Bryce and Hunt accidentally merge their powers
Merge their power.
and teleport. It's like they've tapped into this whole other level of power. And maybe, just maybe, this could be the key to taking down the Astri.
Okay, so we've got rebels, a prophecy, a hidden city, power-hungry Astri, characters with these incredible abilities.
Lot to take in.
It is, but I think we're starting to get a clearer picture of what we're dealing with.
We are. We've laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
Now it's time to see where this story takes us. And things escalate quickly from there. Ophion, they attempt this daring move, trying to steal a prototype for a powerful mech suit.
Ooh, a mech suit. That's pretty intense. So did they manage to pull it off?
Almost. But it turns into this massive confrontation. And that's where Bryce and Hunt's combined power is revealed. To everyone, including the Astri. It was like a moment of truth. You know, both sides realizing there's more to the other than they thought.
Yeah, I can imagine. But revealing your secret weapon like that doesn't seem like the smartest move.
You're right. It's definitely a double-edged sword. It gave the rebellion a temporary advantage, but it also made them a target. And from what we see in the excerpts, well, Bryce, Run, and Hunt, they end up captured by the Astri and their allies. Talk about a cliffhanger.
Whoa, so much for that temporary advantage. This has to be a huge blow to the rebellion. What happens to them?
That's the big question, isn't it? The excerpts leave us hanging. But it's clear, they're facing their biggest challenge yet, at the mercy of the Astri. And the Astris aren't exactly known for their mercy.
Okay, before we get too caught up in the suspense, you mentioned earlier, Second Light being connected to the dead. What exactly is Second Light? How does it fit into the Astri's whole power thing?
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? We know First Light is this life force energy from the living, and it seems like Second Light is whatever energy remains after death. And the Astri, they've found a way to tap into both, essentially draining the world from both sides.
So not only are they controlling the living, but they're also exploiting the dead.
Yeah, adds a whole other layer of creepiness to their whole thing, doesn't it?
Definitely. It makes you wonder about their motives even more. Like, are they just power hungry? Or is there something even darker going on? Some kind of immortality scheme by hoarding all this energy?
It's a good question.
Okay, so switching gears a bit here. There's this whole other mystery going on with Bryce.
Oh, right.
She ends up transported to this strange world. And there's speculation it might be hell, the realm of the dead.
It's a wild twist. And the excerpts, they only give us these brief glimpses of this new world. But the most interesting part, Bryce encounters beings who recognize the Star Sword, the powerful weapon she carries.
Right.
It really points to the Star Sword having a deeper significance, possibly even ties to this realm of the dead.
It's like peeling back layers of a cosmic onion, and every layer just gets more mind-blowing.
Exactly. And while all this is happening with Bryce, back in Lunatheon, Run manages to make contact with Agent Daybright.
Oh, wow. Okay, what happens? Who is this Agent Daybright?
Well, it turns out Agent Daybright isn't a who, it's a what.
Cryptic. Give me more.
From the excerpts, it seems Agent Daybright is this being of fire, possibly some powerful elemental entity. Imagine a being made of pure fire fighting for the rebellion. It changes our whole understanding of who or what is involved in this fight.
Wow, this Agent Daybright thing really changes things. It sounds like the rebellion has some serious firepower on their side, literally. But if the Astri control both First Light and Second Light, what chance does the rebellion really have?
It's a good question. And it's one that these excerpts don't completely answer.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember Bryce and Hunt, they've stumbled onto this new power, this merging of their magic.
Right.
And then there's the Star Sword, which seems to have some connection to the realm of the dead. A lot of unknowns, but there are forces at play that could definitely shift the balance of power.
So with all this going on, where does Emil fit in? We started this whole deep dive trying to figure out his role, and it feels like he's kind of been lost in the shuffle.
He's definitely still a major player in this story. Don't forget, Sophie risked everything to protect him, and the Astri are still looking for him. He's connected to that prophecy, and those Thunderbird abilities of his, whether they're active or not, are still a huge mystery.
Okay, good point. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, can you give us a quick rundown of what we've uncovered so far? It feels like we've learned a lot, but it's also a lot to keep track of.
Absolutely. We've learned that the Astri's control runs deeper than anyone imagined, draining the first light of the living, the second light of the dead, essentially stealing the very essence of life itself.
Right. And on the other side, we've got the rebellion with these unexpected allies like this Agent Daybright, this powerful, fiery being. Plus, Bryce and Hunt have discovered this whole new level of magic, this merging of their powers, which could be the key to defeating the Astri.
Exactly. But it's not all good news for the rebellion. Bryce, Run, and Hunt, they've been captured, and their fate is uncertain. And while we've uncovered a lot about these power dynamics, there are still so many questions,
Hmm.
especially about Emil and what his role is in all of this.
It feels like we're at this turning point in the story. On one hand, the rebellion is facing this huge setback, but then there are all these hints about ancient powers, prophecies, things that could totally change the game. Where do we even go from here?
It's a tricky situation, isn't it? The stakes just keep getting higher, and every victory, it seems to come with a price. But that's part of what makes this story so gripping, right? We're right there with these characters, feeling the weight of their choices, the uncertainty of what comes next.
Yeah, that uncertainty. We've got these excerpts that hint at something bigger, something beyond this immediate fight between the Astery and the rebellion. What did you make of those?
It's almost like the story is expanding, breaking free from just this world. Like
Yeah.
with Bryce's trip to what might be hell, the realm of the dead, it just opens up so many possibilities. And the beings she meets there, they recognize the Star Sword.
Right.
It really suggests the Star Sword has a much deeper history, a purpose beyond what we initially thought.
It's like we're seeing just a tiny bit of this giant cosmic tapestry, and the Star Sword is just one thread in this much larger design.
Exactly. And then there's Agent Daybright, shrouded in mystery. We still don't know the full extent of their powers, their reasons for siding with the rebellion, but this fiery being, maybe an elemental entity, it hints at forces that go beyond just the political, the personal.
It's getting into the realm of myth, ancient powers. It's giving me chills just thinking about it. So, with all these layers, the mystery, the intrigue, what do you think the core message is? What's Sarah J. Maas trying to tell us with this story?
At its core, I think it's about fighting for freedom, even when it seems impossible. It's about challenging those in control, the oppressors, whether it's a tyrannical government or forces beyond our understanding. It's about having the courage to resist, even if it means risking everything.
And the power of hope. Even when things are at their darkest, there's that glimmer, right? Like the rebellion itself, like the love between Bryce and Hunt, like
Yeah.
the possibility of these ancient powers changing everything.
Exactly. Hope is this incredible force that the characters hold on to, even when facing their greatest challenges. It's what pushes them to keep going, to keep believing a better world is possible.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into House of Sky and Breath, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
I want them to remember that this story asks these big questions about power, about control, about freedom, about the nature of life and death. It pushes us to think critically about the world around us and to fight for what we believe in, even when it feels impossible.
Well said. And to our listeners, as you continue reading, keep an eye out for those little details, the symbolism, the connections between characters, the events. Sarah J. Maas is such a skilled storyteller, and she's woven this tale that's so rich with meaning. It's complex.
And don't be afraid to ask your own questions, to come up with your own interpretations. That's what makes a story like this so great. It sparks our imaginations, it pulls us into the narrative.
So just to recap, we've explored those power struggles in this world, the mystery surrounding Emil, his connection to that prophecy, and then the emergence of these ancient powers that could completely change everything. We've also talked about the themes of freedom, hope, and resistance, those ideas that are woven throughout the story.
It's been an incredible journey, and I'm really excited to see what Moz has in store for us next. Still so many questions unanswered, so many paths to explore.
And to our listeners, as you delve deeper into House of Sky and Breath, keep those questions in mind. What does it truly mean to be free? What are you willing to sacrifice for the people you love? And what role do we each play in this grand scheme of things?
Remember, the story is yours now. Embrace the mystery, enjoy the ride, and keep turning those pages.